And welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here, checking out the series. Of course, you know what to do. If you like what you see, hit that subscribe button. I put out 3 new interviews every single week, new one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So it's a great way to keep up with your favorite artists, discover those new ones. You can do so anywhere in podcast land as well. Spotify, Apple Podcast, at NPR, WFPK.org, Consequence, or of course, right here on YouTube for the video versions. Anywhere you get your podcast from, you can subscribe to Kyle Meredith with. And that's me, Kyle Meredith. Today, we're going to be talking about the show Culprits on Hulu and Disney+. In fact, I've got Nathan Stewart-Jarrett and Niamh Algar on here, 2 of the stars of the show. And it's a really cool show. It's a heist show on one side of things, but it's not like the heist show that you usually see. This is sort of what happens after the heist. You know, you've got your specialist team put together, and then they do the job, and that's usually where the movie ends. This sort of picks up after that. In fact, so what we've got here is the people that they stole from, they want their stuff back, and each one of our members are being hunted down one by one. There's also another story. There's a story of race and love in small town America, and we get to talk about all of that. It's such a cool show, and I'm excited to jump into this. So let's do it. We're talking Culprits. It's Kyle Meredith with Nathan Stewart-Jarrett and Niamh Algar.
Hi, how's it going? I'm looking at your background.
Yeah?
It's very
You got any favorites back here?
Prince. I mean, that's a loud Prince there. I love Prince.
Yeah. Yeah, there's I try to keep the angels looking over my show, even the ones that are alive, you know. That's I think Stipe he's not dead.
No, no.
It's a pleasure to meet.
Everyone dies, is it? Like, it's not one of those walls where, like,
it's not one of those walls, thank goodness. It's just
don't be putting us up there.
It's a pleasure to meet both of you. Let me say that at the beginning. I so enjoy Culprits. So hello to you both.
Hello.
Yeah. I was actually wondering, because knowing that, you know, this was done a bit ago. You both have had, I think, projects in between this. Now it's coming out in America. What's it like revisiting at this point? Does it open anything new now that you're kind of doing the second rounds?
Well, it's fun. Yeah, it's fun getting to share it with audiences, and also I think I can't remember when we wrapped on it, Nathan, but yeah, it was. It's been such a journey, and to see, you know, the end result. It's like, yeah, it's really exciting to watch it and see everyone's work paying off.
Yeah, it's such an interesting concept. The idea, what happens after the heist, you know. I don't know if there's, you know, this is where, you know, it's like when I read the script, it's one of those questions. But I would be curious, like, for both of you all, what was your take when you read this? Because it's not exactly the heist show or movie that we've ever seen before.
No, I think when I read it, I didn't read all of them at once. I read, like, maybe the first 3 or 4, but it was. Like, I was like, oh, yeah, it's a heist, it's a heist, it's a heist. But I was like, oh my God, this character and, like, you know, the family. And, like, there was something about, like, I was like, this is like an indie. I was like, this is great. And the heist was like the other stuff. And the heist was also a huge challenge. But what I loved is that Jay has incorporated the 2 things. So you had this, what happens after the heist, and you had, you know, an entire life, and family and so on. And then you still had the heist. So it was you had both aspects. And I thought that was really amazing and then very exciting to do. But I do remember thinking, yeah, how I'm going to do this scene. It's going to be like, you know, real, like, indie stuff. And then Jay was like, but you've got this other stuff to do too. But yeah, I love that. I love the both in tandem.
And it's right, Nathan, what you're talking about, you know, knowing that you get 2 stories, which could have been too much for some shows, and it's handled so, you know, which it's so leveled out, like it always works in almost a surprising way. This might be the very obvious question, but what was the story you wanted to tell there? Because it feels like it's just important, as you're saying, as the heist story.
Oh no, the story I want to tell is there. Like, it is that story. It just, for me, that you were immediately grounded. And, you root for people in heists all the time. Like, usually always, you root for the bad guys. You always root for the guys that steal the money, like every time. And so you got that. But it was grounded with something that was much more personal. So you're rooting in a different way. You're not just rooting that you already know they've gotten money, but you're rooting in a way where you're like, I hope he can save his family. It's that really amazing scene where they escape the house, and you're just like, it's just about the family. Like, it's not then about the money. It's not actually about Joe or anyone else. It's about these three people, these two kids and their dad getting out of this house. And I thought that, I try to avoid the term like phrase heart, but that heart of it is, I think, it's very, very beautiful. And that's the bit that I think is also unusual about the series, that you don't ordinarily have that. And in and amongst everything, I mean, the fact he's ticked all of those things off, I think is really amazing.
Yeah, it's beautifully made. And you get the multitudes of everyone. Niamh, like, are they good? Are they bad? Does that matter? How do you see it?
I don't think anyone thinks that they're bad. That's the thing. Bad people don't realize they're bad. They just do bad things. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's the fun of it. Was, I don't know, someone like Specialist, she didn't realize she was doing anything bad. She was just doing her job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then, like, seeing the people change, and I'll stick with you for a second, with Psycho's story here, because has she changed in the aftermath? I keep thinking of the scene with the deer, and she's over it going, you're okay. And it's so soft and loving.
I know, that's the thing about Specialist, is that and me and Jay talked about that, was that she has this huge respect for life. Like, that was what was interesting in that scene when she does kill the deer, is that she doesn't waste anything, and she's very kind of conscious on like on a natural level, which I thought was great to play against that stereotype psychopath who would hurt animals just for the sake of it. She doesn't. She only literally does it out of means and necessity. And so what was interesting to play in that scene was the idea that she hadn't gotten like a clean kill, and so she'd made a mistake. And so this was Psycho 3 years on from the heist, and how that would have affected potentially who she is now. She doesn't rely on having to do that job anymore, and suddenly are her skills slightly beginning to compromise. And so that was always kind of, I was like, thought it was just fun to like, what did she do in those 3 years? I want to go see what that story is all about.
Well, I've thought about what would the spinoff? I need a spinoff of her prequel series, whatever. Like, do you consider, some actors, I know you consider the backstory, some actors consider that. Like, do you think about how she ended up the way she ended up?
Yeah, of course, because that's how you make it real. You have to make it, you have to ground it in a truth. And so that for me was always just making sure that she wasn't just crazy, because it doesn't, that doesn't kind of sit right. And so you have to find a way of like going, how does this woman become a trained assassin and wear all white all the time? And why does she make these very intense choices? And that's interesting. Like, if you're given these characteristics and then you work backwards. And like, as Nathan has described before, is like, this is a story that works backwards. And so we see why people make the choices that they do.
Yeah. Nathan, for you, I mean, because of the timeline, because of the double life, does it feel like playing two different characters?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to derail us slightly for 1 second. I was just thinking about Inga's dry cleaning bill, her laundry bill.
Where all the money went. That's why she's living in a cabin in Norway.
I'm like, what? I mean, it was pieces as well. There were pieces. I did feel like doing two different characters, but it felt very much David was one thing and Joe was something that he had chosen to become, but it was definitely two different characters, not just in voice, but also outlook. David is far more wounded and less whole than Joe. Joe's not whole either, but he is attempting to be. Whereas David is really, he's really alone in that sense, and slightly lost. He's lost. So I was definitely trying to draw on different things. It was definitely a different makeup, and 3 years I think is a while for anyone. If you've committed a crime, fallen in love, and gained a family, it's pretty, and moved country, I think that's quite a big 3 years, and you probably will become someone else.
Yeah, it's fun just seeing the two levels of that, and and because of course you see the same person, the identity's there and everything, but it just feels like, and I don't know, that's got to be fun for for any actor too to
kind of... It was fun. I remember shooting the scene where he first meets Jules, and it's I tried to have that he'd shed something, that he was kind of at his most raw in that moment, because it was a transition point of like forgetting David and becoming Joe. So in an essence, you could say it was like the most truthful moment he had. And so I remember kind of trying to get rid of that stuff. And that scene was really, really hard. I think it's a really beautiful scene, but it was a really hard scene. But yeah, there's something about like, there was a kind of, not three people, but he was kind of going through something, getting rid of one and putting something else in.
Yeah. On the physical side, I was reading about the garbage truck scene, which right from the beginning, and I heard that like this, there's a lot of movie magic that goes into this, but this is like days or weeks long.
There was movie magic, but there was like, I was still in there. There was movie magic. Jay had it out for me. We filmed that scene a lot. It was like the first week, second, third, fourth, fifth, and probably sixth. And usually on a Friday night, they'd be all muddied and dirtied up. And they'd chop me off to the trash can. And I'd wait there like shivering in yogurt and whatever. And most of the nights I wouldn't get in because there was like one particular night where there was a storm, a lightning storm, and obviously the trash can is metal, and they got me all dressed up, and they were like, yeah, we're gonna do it. And I was like, okay, if you know what it's like, we're gonna do it. And you get, and you're like, but there's lightning, guys. There's lightning. Like, oh, no. And so they had me, because we couldn't really complete it, they had me in and out of that trash can the whole time. And then, unbeknownst to me, we're in London somewhere. There's, a few months later, there's like a bit of a break. I had a reprieve. And I walk into the studio and I see the trash can. I'm like, what's the trash can doing here? And Jay's like, oh yeah, in a couple of days' time, we just rescheduled the thing. We're going to put you back in because we need to get the shot. And you're like, what? The whole shoot. Up to the last week, you saw the trash can of the last week, Niamh. Up to the last week, Jay had me in the trash can. And I don't think he needed to all the time. I secretly think if I got on Jay's nerves, he was like, let's put it in there. Just put it on that Thursday afternoon. I secretly think that he was out for me.
Not trash. Oh my God. They use the actual trash can.
I was actually in a trash can. And then what they would do is, several people did this because we went through several crews in different locations. They would then just push me. And I'd be like there, around. And then we had one that was like a real one that was really go around. Philip, the DOP, sometimes got him there, but most of the time he'd stay safely above. And I would just kind of be flailing around with like diapers with like smeared with chocolate and like noodles in my hair. And then they'd be like, cut. And I'd be like, okay, what's that? That's a wrap on the trash can. But was it?
But was it?
Yeah, but it was
intense. It was intense. It worked. All the movie magic, all the suffering, it worked at least.
That wasn't magic, Kyle. That was me. That was really me with trash.
I know towards the end of my time, I'll quickly ask this one too, because the masks and the expressions, is there a story behind the expressions at all?
Yeah, well, we all basically, Ian Fletcher, who's the costume designer on this, it was so cool because we all did like, when we went in, we had to do like a freeze print of our and you just like picked different expressions. But yeah, I said to Ian, I was like, Psycho has to be smiling because she in her mask because she never smiles. And so that was like that choice for mine. But those things were intense to wear because they were literally molded onto your face. And then you just had the little nose. No, it was little nose holes.
The little nose holes, and like, and then you have the foam as well. My mind got so smelly.
But they looked so cool and terrifying. But all day, like I'd be just going around with a big smile on my face, and even if I was like, I really hurt my leg in that, like, all right, you look great, you're fine. She's laughing, she's happy, and I'm like, no, it's really sore.
Did Jay direct you in your? Because we really couldn't get mine. And then Jay basically made faces at me whilst I made the face, and then the scam was happening. So he basically just stood there going, and I was just like, Jay, I can't do it. And then it was pretty cool. I wanted to keep it because like we weren't allowed to keep those things.
The last day we were all like, of course, we're going to get one of these to keep. And it was like, they got boxed up and sent away.
They got sent away so fast. Yeah. But yours was really cool. I remember yours being really, really cool.
Mine was
it was like a little snarl. Like yours was cool. Mine was cool as well, but I liked yours.
I like a little silver too.
Yeah, that's what I liked. I liked the little detail. But they were cool. They got a little sweaty.
Well, maybe you got a Christmas present coming. Maybe, hopefully. So arrive in the mail. I love this show.
And to my house. You know how you've started. There's gonna be a trash can that arrives at my front door. They'll be like, stop.
I do love this show so much. And the soundtrack was great too. I love the both of you guys in it. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk about it. It's been a lot of fun for me.
Thank you very much.
And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week. New one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All 3 of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.